Hey, what's going on, guys? Over here, and welcome to your top 5 moments for the 2018 Spanish Grand Prix, round number 5 of the 2018 season, and the real start of the European season, really. And after 3 really awesome races where there are plenty of top moments, and, it was very difficult to make this video, this one is going to be a little bit easy. The Spanish Grand Prix in 2018 was certainly not a classic, and I think we're going to kick things straight off with the top 5 moments with number 5. These correlated from you guys on Twitter, asking you guys what your top moments were after the race. And number 5, in a bit of a jokey fashion, was a lot of you saying when it ended, or when I could switch over the channel, or when that rain came. I mean, people were forecasting 80 to 70 to 60% chance of rain in the race, and we hardly got anything. I think there was one moment where Will Buxton tweeted there's a drop of rain in the paddock, so I don't care what people are saying on the forecast. There's some rain, but it wasn't enough. We're talking like 2 drops probably. Yeah, I don't know where those stats came from, 80% to 60% chance of rain in the race, because it certainly didn't come, and probably in ironic fashion. Let's see and watch the weather forecast later in Barcelona come through like it's pouring down with rain, like in 2 hours time post-race. But yeah, it's a bit of a jokey moment, but honestly, so many of you guys said it that I feel like I should just honor it, because it's meant to be a bit of a collation of everyone tweeting me what their top moments were, and then me kind of putting it into a pile. So there was so many of you tweeting me that, so I may as well put it as number 5 when it ended. It certainly wasn't a classic Spanish Grand Prix. I mean, there's hardly any ever big classic Spanish Grand Prix. Spain is a very difficult place to pass, a lot of dirty air, a lot of the cars get stuck behind one another in the corners. It's a great track to go to for testing. It's the place where they go testing, so it kind of makes sense almost in a way where a lot of the time the grid is determined by the car performance, and in general it's just always been known to be a place that's difficult to pass. And unfortunately we saw the same thing here. I mean, we saw that very early on the race when Vettel pit early versus Valtteri Bottas. He almost lost the place to Bottas early in the race due to him being stuck behind Kevin Magnussen. Just about pulled off actually a nice pass into turn 1. But yeah, Spain this year certainly wasn't an all-inspiring one. So that was probably number 5 for a lot of you guys. Number 4 is going to be quite a small fleeting moment, but in the moment nonetheless was a really awesome one, which is Fernando Alonso's pass on Esteban Ocon round the outside in turn 3. Classic Fernando Alonso. We've seen him and many others actually do that before, but Alonso's done it a fair few times in the past as well. Around the outside of turn 3, absolutely awesome move on Ocon, and on the live race broadcast, it kind of just went by in a flash, but I think it should be emphasised how nice of a pass that was. And in general, it was a good race for Alonso. I guess he would be a little bit disheartened that he was behind Carlos Sainz and Kevin Magnussen by the end of it. So obviously, McLaren bringing the B-Spec car, which I made a video on, by the way, earlier on this week. They would have hoped to maybe been ahead of those two, but Alonso, to be fair to him, did get held up in that chaos that was in lap 1, which we'll get to eventually. But all in all, I think a decent race for Alonso to fight back to that. Had a bit of trouble getting past Charles Leclerc early on the race and had to have the aid of the virtual safety car restart to help him in that. But after he did that, he went on his way. But yeah, that was a really sweet move from Alonso in turn 3. I think that definitely deserved props. Number 3 is going to be Max Verstappen hitting the back of a Williams car on the virtual safety car restart. That was quite a moment. I think any of you guys who have played the Codemasters F1 games will know what I mean when I tweeted out that now at least Verstappen knows what it's like to have green flags after a virtual safety car on those games, because he literally did what I think a lot of us have done previously in the past, where you kind of accelerate as the flag goes green, and the AI on the F1 game just don't understand that they can accelerate straight away and just slam to the back of them, and that's exactly what Verstappen did. Thankfully for him, actually, he was able to pull it through for a podium. Pretty great podium, actually, from P5 on the grid. And, Christian Horner on the radio talking to Martin Brundle about the things that they can do to bounce the car back. So I think Verstappen and Red Bull as a whole did a great job to actually manage that situation and still stay ahead of Sebastian Vettel, which in itself was a moment in the race. But I think it's kind of together. It wasn't a huge moment, but Vettel pitting again, that in itself was maybe a questionable decision. They pit under the virtual safety car, hoping to get effectively a free pit stop, or a bit of a cheap pit stop, essentially going under the virtual safety car, but that kind of backfired on them because, one, the rest of the cars around them were going to pit anyway, and then also they themselves got held up in the pits due to, I think, a force injury and just generally a bit of a slower stop. So that was a bottle in itself, but not a huge one in my opinion. But the bigger one was just the kind of funny nature of Verstappen hitting the back of Williams, straight away. Just, I don't know, it almost looked like Verstappen really wasn't ready for that Williams car to be so slow off the back. But like I said, he did did a good enough job to keep it through there. And, after what was obviously a very questionable Grand Prix for both Red Bull cars at Baku, it pulls it back through for a decent podium for Red Bull, but certainly a very funny moment in the Grand Prix for Verstappen. Number 2 is going to be Charles Leclerc getting another points-paying position. Actually, earlier on the Grand Prix, he was doing a fantastic job to actually hold back Fernando Alonso, and he's in a Sauber Alfa Romeo. That Sauber is, by all means, not an amazing car. Clearly, they've made a step forward from Australia, but I think you can see now Leclerc, ever since Baku, has got comfortable in the car. He talked about finally finding the kind of understeery setup that F1 is like versus the oversteery nature of the F2 cars he was used to driving, and he said that was a big reason why he made a step up in Baku, and it looks like he's carried that forward. And obviously, Baku and Spain, 2 tracks he's been at with F2, so when he's comfortable in the car, clearly he's got an abundance of talent to outdrive that car and outperform Marcus Ericsson. He's done a fantastic job now. Got unlucky, I think the experience showed where Alonso was able to overtake him straight away as the virtual safety car came back in, and he definitely got caught napping a little bit, but all in all, to get another points-paying position for him, 2 in a row now, absolutely fabulous job. And actually, both Saubers at one point fighting different cars. It was that shot down the straight where you saw Ericsson fight the Renault, and then Leclerc fighting Alonso, and both defending quite well, actually. So that was a nice moment as well, just seeing the Saubers getting in the mix there. Haven't seen that for a while, but generally, just Leclerc doing the job there to get another points-paying position, and him trying to fight off Fernando Alonso. Eventually, Alonso getting that. He tried his best around the outside into turn 1, but eventually, Alonso experience cut in there, cut across in turn 2, and Bob's your uncle. We got the pass, but yeah, fantastic job there for Charles. Really happy to see him finally get comfy, because I think a lot of people were starting to essentially roast him, especially at Bahrain, where he just was nowhere, whereas Ericsson was up there in that one stop to get points. But I think now he's proving the talent he's got. He just needs to get comfy in the car, and every race is going to do that. So decent stuff, and that's going to be number 2 for a lot of you guys and for me as well. And number 1 is going to be, well, unfortunately, pretty much the biggest talking point of the Spanish Grand Prix in a way. The big blow-up moment was lap 1, and Romain Grosjean's little spin obviously got hit by Marcus Ericsson. Again, clearly that's what happened. So he'll be thinking on that step he was sitting on, how on earth Ericsson's hit him twice in a row now in 2 races. But yeah, no, joking aside, Grosjean's on thin ice now, surely. Like, he's going to be thinking about, his season. Does he, is he going to get dropped at the end of this season or even earlier? Because it is now 5 races with 0 points. It is his worst start to a Formula 1 season, I think. I saw on Twitter earlier. Grosjean just, gets hit with some dirty air, but loses control, and then things to accelerate whilst he's sideways. That's going to solve everything, and that just created a cloud of smoke. And then, I don't know about you guys, a bitter thing for me was he then took out Pierre Gasly and Nico Hulkenberg, both of which I have in my F1 fantasy team. That was not a great moment for me. That was not a great moment. So, and I had Nico Hulkenberg as a turbo driver, so that's not going to be great. But yeah, utter chaos there. Alonso had to go to the outside to avoid Grosjean. Hulkenberg and Gasly just straight in with the smoke. They couldn't see anything. They're out the Grand Prix. And yeah, and then Grosjean looking absolutely distraught. And yeah, that is calls into question. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously, that was saved a little bit because we'll have some honourable mentions now. Kevin Magnussen did a very decent job to be in P6 there for Haas. He's the only one saving Haas right now. So he got a lot of flack last race for Baku and, some races before, but, fair play. He's carrying Haas at the moment, and P6 was very, very decent from him, so the Danish fans can be happy about that. And Carlos Sainz, honourable mention for him. P7, obviously Hulkenberg, 2 DNFs in a row. Carlos Sainz picking up the pieces for Renault. Obviously a fantastic, P5 at Baku. P7 here at his home Grand Prix, ahead of Alonso. Obviously Alonso did get held up, but still, Sainz in P7, really great job for him. I'm really happy because, he was having a tough start to the season, and now I feel like, yes, because Hulkenberg's got unlucky, it kind of like a half counts, but Sainz, this is just confidence building for him that he needs to try and versus Nico when it comes to a fair and square fight. So we're still looking for that fair and square fight, but I think this is what Sainz needs, and so I'm really happy for him to be there in P7 to get that going. And then I guess it's, maybe not an honourable mention for a lot of you guys, but obviously Hamilton fans and Merc fans will agree with me. Hamilton, this race, yeah, it absolutely just slapped everyone, really. Looked very, very comfortable. There was some little tinfoil hat moments for some people after the race. Obviously, Pirelli made a change to the tyres, and so Mercedes are looking a little bit more comfortable this race. But I think in general, they look more comfortable as a whole around the Spanish Grand Prix. But Hamilton v Bottas, you can clearly see Hamilton finally stepped up and turned up this season for the first time in 5 races. So fair play to him. But All in all, those were the top moments in the Spanish Grand Prix. Yeah, certainly not an absolute classic in 2018, but we were due a kind of mediocre race. You know, in an F1 season, you need the mediocre races to prop up the absolutely insane races. So we had 3 great string of episodes where it was very tough for me to bring a top 5 moments, and now very easy to do that. So yeah, I mean, I guess we'll do it. So yeah, guys, if you have enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Let me know what your top moments were. Do you agree with me? And if you think I missed out one, then do let me know in the comments below. What did you think about any of that? And if you have anything to say on the Grand Prix, pop it in the comments below. Have a discussion with the people around you in the comment section. If you're new around here, do get subscribed for weekly Formula One content. We're going to have a podcast to review this race tomorrow on Monday. And as you can see, if you look on the channel page below the video, plenty of F1 content to sink your teeth into. So do get subscribed if you are new around here. But guys, hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.